Bonjour and welcome back, Marsh Powersports fans. Today I am here at the CANAM dealer training camp here in northern France. We are at the Domaine des Forest Hill, which is an off-road 4x4 centre to learn about and test the all-new Generation 3 CANAM Outlander 850 and 1000 models. We're going to test them and their off-road capabilities at this off-road centre alongside some of their competitors. Here's what to expect in this video. Whatsoever. So we've just been on the CANAM 1000 DPS. We're going to do a quick look around this thing. Enough power for you. Listen to this. On the helmet cam, I'm not sure if that was then their single cylinder offering. So where we've got a lineup for the Polaris Ranger, we've got HC9s, we've got John Deere Gators, we've got a couple of models that's spec'd up with different configurations of the accessories. So I've just arrived here at the Domaine des Forest Hill and this is the setup. So CANAM flags everywhere. What a welcome. We've got all these bikes lined up. We've got all the range of quad bikes. So we've got some Outlanders, we've got some competition bikes, we've got the Polaris Sportsman, we've got another Polaris, there's a CF Moto down there, and we've also got obviously a lot of Outlanders to go and test. Coming through, we've got, this looks like the kit hub, where we're going to get decked out with some helmets and gear and everything. Obviously all CANAM branded stuff, so it's going to be top quality as usual. So that was a little walk around the setup here at the CANAM dealer training camp. The itinerary for these 2 days it's going to be the training days today. So in the classroom, learn about the specs about the new Generation 3 Outlanders, and then tomorrow hopefully we'll be able to get on the vehicles and test their true off-road capabilities at this off-road centre. So this is the classroom, this is where we'll be doing most of our training. Hopefully it's nice and warm in there.
I'll save the 2 hours of PowerPoint presentations and quickly summarise the changes between the Gen 2 and Gen 3 models. With a new 1000, 95% change to its previous counterpart. It now comes with 101 brake horsepower, while the 850 comes with 82 brake horsepower, and the fastest 0 to 60 times in the entire ATV class. There are also huge changes in the frame, with 35% lighter than the Gen 2, and huge changes to the CVT. But this video is all about the ride-in, so let's see how these changes equate to performance on the trail.
So we finished the classroom work where we learned about the evolution of the Outlander from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2s to the Gen 3s, and been all about the new product knowledge, which I'll share with you tomorrow when we're on the test ride of the vehicle. But now we're on to the afternoon section where we look at some product comparison. We're going to look at ATVs and side-by-side, with the CANAMs comparing to their closest competitors. So we're just through here where we've got a lineup for the Polaris Ranger, we've got HC9s, we've got John Deere Gators, and again another Trackster HC7. We've got CANAM Outlander Pros, we've got Sea-Forces, we've got CANAM Grizzlies, we've got Polaris Sportsman, and we're going to compare them all, see how they stack up with their specs and see which one comes out on top. So as you've seen before on the channel, we like to do shootouts where we put head-to-head CANAM versus their competitors. So this is a great opportunity to give you one of those videos while we've got the competitors here in front of us. So
looking back, these comparisons are a little too long for this edit, but if you do want to see these two full comparisons of the HC7 versus the Sportsman and the CANAM Trackster versus the Polaris Ranger, I will post them as standalone videos. Head over to the channel and check them out.
We're here at day 2 at the CANAM dealer training camp here in northern France at the Domaine des Forest Hill. So we're just about to go on our first test drive. So we're going to test all the new CANAM Gen 3 models, the 850 and the 1000, and the competitors as well. So we're going to start on this one, which is the CANAM 1000 XTP. Let's see how it goes. It looks like we've got a big loop in store for us. We're all going to switch around on each bike. So we're going to test different bikes. Right now we're going to swap. So better get into it. We're going to start. So first off the bat, the power delivery is so smooth. I was surprised then jumping on 1000. I thought it was going to be a little snappy. No, but absolutely buttery smooth. I think that's to do with the new P-drive systems on these quads. It's that initiation and engagement of the power that just makes all the difference. Let's get into these. So I'll just talk about how this quad feels. So we've gone over some quite rough terrain already, but I've spoiled myself by going for the best first. So it's going to feel like a downgrade for everything else. So this has the Fox Podium shocks on there, which are premium shocks. And they feel incredible. And look how well it's just hooking up. No spin at all. This is four-wheel drive. Massive difference between the four-wheel drive and the two-wheel drive. But the two-wheel drive is fun though. We're going to have a play around with IEB settings on this. Okay, so we're going to hold in the front trigger. This is medium now. So we're going to see how much grip it gives us. This going to go up to, this is minimum. You can see there's hardly any engine braking in the minimum setting. It wants to run away with you. But if I go up then to the maximum setting, look how much engine braking that gives me. How valuable is that? So this is the XTP model. So this is one from top in CANAM's lineup. This is the second most expensive one in their lineup. This comes with all the nice bits as standard. You get our Fox Podium shocks like I talked about. You get the sporty handlebars. You get the sport handguards. You get the front 10-litre storage box on all the G3 models. Less the 30-litre storage box at the back. You've got the upgraded racks, you've got the plastic racks on the front and the rear, which are all link Q available there, ready to fit all your accessories on. It's got all the features, so when you come to the XTP model, you get the Visco lift lock system. So you don't just get the normal front diff lock, it's the Visco lock. So we've switched it into work mode here. I just want to see how much performance it gives in the work mode. Let's see if it's still... But it does make it manageable. The throttle response is a lot more dumbed down on this work mode. So you can see this being handy in and around the yard. Maybe you've got some more novice riders performing with the quad. And this just makes this work mode so much more manageable. Still got access to that two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive system. But that throttle is so much more easier to control. It's not snappy. You don't get a full access to that 1000cc and all those 101 horsepower in this new Gen 3 model. So we'll do a little control descent down here. I'm just going to pick our lines nicely. Easy. Look how precise that is. Perfect. Got this tank in there. Follow this dude. Easy peasy for you. So this is the Polaris Sportsman XP. So we're going to try this out next. Right, so let's work out controls on here then, boys. So I can see on my screen. How do I change these then? It's not so as intuitive as the CANAM, so I'm looking to change. Right, first of all, impressions. So the gear selection is not as smooth as the CANAM. It feels smaller, less present. And when that gear shifter then was in the park mode, that seems to be interfering then with my levers. This boys, I've been spoiled, I like the best first. What is this? Guys, if you're thinking about a Polaris, change your mind. Suspension is jerky. This is nowhere near as good. The suspension is awful. I don't know how to change the Polaris setting. Well, whatever setting I'm in, it worked anyway. But I hate these downhills. The suspension is so bad, it throws you everywhere. So we've just come off the Polaris 1000 XP. I haven't got much good to say about that, if I'm honest with you. So we're moving up now to another Outlander. So this is a 1000 DPS. So we're going to have a little go on this. So this is a little bit down spec to what the XTP was on earlier. We'll see how the suspension differs, how the different ride modes differs, and we'll try that. So just to talk you through the different range, so the XTP I went on first is second from highest. This is a DPS model, so this doesn't come with some of the nice bits that you normally find on the XTP or the Max Limited. So it doesn't come with the front bull bar or the rear bull bar. It doesn't come with any hand guards. You still get the nice bits like the intelligent throttle control, different ride modes. Let's see what mode we're in. We're in sport mode, which we'll try that out in this one. You still get IEB, you still get two-wheel and four-wheel drive, but you don't get the option to lock out the front differential. You've only got that two-wheel and four-wheel drive settings. As you can see, we've just changed it. Again, so much easier to change the modes on the CANAM compared to the Polaris. Everything just seems more intuitive. That gear lever I was on about is out the way. It's buttery smooth up and down in that box between the different gears. We're in high ratio at the minute. We haven't got anywhere we needed a low ratio. Yeah, instantly just feels better than that Polaris. But this has got well, I say downgraded, but the stock suspension compared to that XTP model. So this one has CANAM own shocks all around. Let's see how they perform compared to those Fox podiums. So we've just been on the CANAM 1000 DPS, so I didn't get much footage of that one. I had a problem with my GoPro mount. I'm going to jump on to this C-Force 1000X. So this is made by Godzilla or CF Moto as they are now. So we're going to give this a little try.
Sur the brake.
Yeah?
Mark.
Yeah.
Attention.
Okay.
It's. Voilà, sinon ça fait.
Okay.
Okay, not your finger.
Right.
Sinon I.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. So here we go. First impressions. The park and brake on the CF Moto is a death trap apparently, and it came with a safety warning not to catch my fingers there and chop my fingers off when I put it on and off. So that's not a good start. But overall, looking at it, so some of these Chinese manufacturers, I'll be honest, I get them pretty good. Look at the display on this. So I haven't worked it out yet, but yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like an iPad. It's a nice big TFT screen. The gear selection was nice. If I'm honest, the riding position is nice, but that suspension is not the same. The CANAM's are superior. The suspension, even the standard suspension on that DPS model I was just riding, is still unbelievable. I'll say the only difference between the standard CANAM suspension and the Fox podiums is a small bump sensitivity, and it does feel more planted as you get faster. As it pushes through a stroke, it gives you more support. The only thing I can liken it to is in the motocross and enduro world, running stock WP suspension to then running cone valves. So the stock WPs do a job, you get it done, but those cone valves just make it so much easier. They flatten out the terrain, they save you when you get it slightly wrong. The rebound damping's better, whereas this is kind of flicking around everywhere. Those CANAMs feel so much more planted. Look at that CANAM in front, look at the suspension working on that CANAM. Those trailing arms, that newly designed suspension with those trailing arms, doing the job it was intended to do. Going back to the ride of this, I'm honestly fairly impressed. Compared to this and the Polaris Sportsman, this is superior in every way. I'm not sure exact price points. Usually the CF Moto brand are usually around about the 11-12 grand mark, and they only do one spec model then, same as like the TGBs and the Segways. They'll do an all-encompassed, all-in, ready-to-go model. I believe these are around about 11,000–12,000 pounds in the UK. Compared to the Polaris, I think that's around about 15 grand. How they can charge that money for a quad bike that performs like that is beyond me. I wouldn't even entertain it. I'd entertain one of these for the saving I'm going to have between this and the if I'm on a budget, if I'm not going to use it every day, I'm only going to use it infrequently, I would consider one of these Chinese brands. I think this performs quite similar to the new Segway. They do an 8010, and again, that's only £8,500. That. Oh, we'll take a checker route. Go. Stupid. Does your head in that? Yeah, he's been told about the parking brake. So now I'm on the HD8 Pro. So this is that new, it's still the 999cc engine, but it's mapped down to an 850 horsepower. So 82 horsepower compared to the 101 on the thousands and the HD10s. So we'll see how this performs. So the Pro model comes with the extra low gear, it comes with the speed limiter, and it comes with the bumpers and the winches as standard as well. So the Pro is specifically designed for like the work environments, where sort of agricultural or hunting or whatever it may be. It's designed more for that environment than anything else. You want to go first? Cool, man. There you go. So this is in two-wheel drive in a minute. I just want to see how it performs in two-wheel drive before we switch into the four-wheel drive. This is still a max model, so this is still a longer wheelbase chassis, which is around about 20 centimeters or longer than the non-max models. So, oh, we're gonna go over that stump, boys. Yes, good ground clearance on this. So compared to everything else in this class, the CANAM has more ground clearance and more suspension travel, which when I'm going over terrible lines like that, I'm not catching any of the sump on the debris, the rocks and the roots and every other bad line choice that I make. I've switched into 4x4 mode, and look how easy it just deals with this terrain. I'm not even trying, I'm not even revving, it's just literally clambering over all this uneven terrain, and then as soon as I get onto the flat, you can give it a review. Again, suspension is bloody good for the stock CANAM suspension. So with this 800 or 850cc engine with the 82 horsepower, I'd say it's more than enough for everyday use, and just for majority of all tasks. I'd say you only really need the 1000 if you are going to be towing large capacities, if you are going to be heavily loading the racks, or you're going to be doing high speeds for long periods of time. I'd say this 850 has got more than enough punch to get it up the hills, to get it up anything you throw it at. I've been very impressed by this 800. I'm not sure what it is, but every one of these CANAM models I've been on just seems to give you confidence. So when I've jumped on the Polaris and the CF Moto, you've always got that thing in the back of your head, am I going to make it up this hill? Am I going to tip over? Is it going to react the way I want it to down these steep declines? But you jump on a CANAM, that worry just goes away. You've got that feeling of stability. You know how it's going to react. You just feel in control. You instantly just become at ease. And that doesn't matter which model you jump on. Anything from the stock DPS to this Pro to the XTPs. Everything just feels premium. And that is CANAM's way. Like, stock is premium. There's no corners being cut. There's no making it cheap for cheap's sake. Everything is done with a purpose. You can see why these things have been developed out in America, out in Canada, and the Rocky Mountains, and in these off-road terrains. It just copes with it so well. Right, what have I got next? Oh, an XT model. So this is slightly more premium. So using the CANAM world, you've got your DPS, your XU, and then the XT. So the XT sits between the XU and the XTP model. So again, you get the premium, you get the bumpers front and rear, you get the hand guards, but you get the stock suspension rather than that Fox Podiums. So let's see how this performs. Again, this is a max model, so we're going to see how this is. Jump on, but this is the non-pro, so this doesn't come with that extra low gearing. So while we're waiting for everyone to catch up, I'm just going to play around now with the DPS settings. So as you can see, the DPS settings there, this is set to maximum. On these models where we can change it, it's got 3 modes. So we've got minimum, medium and maximum. I'm going to switch into medium, see how it affects the handling. So you can feel straight away that it's a little bit more weight on the steering. I think for this type of terrain you want it in maximum. If you're on the roads where you want that little bit more damping, you don't need as much play in the steering, I think it's nice to have that option to switch it, but in this kind of terrain you want it to be in that maximum setting. So I'm going to change it back. There we go, maximum DPS. So the DPS settings come on all models, DPS and up. So the only ones it wouldn't come on is the standard HD5 models and HD7 models, where you wouldn't have the access to that. It would always be in the non-power steering setting then, which obviously is reflected in the price points. I haven't even mentioned the brakes. So the engine brake-ins on these models are so good that I've hardly had to use them, but since I've started using our throttle a little bit more and I'm trying to brake into corners, brakes are really impressive. They lock up when you need to lock up, they're moderated when you need to be moderated. You can use it on the hand or the foot as an all-wheel braking system. Brakes up, yeah, it's very nice. So lastly then, we're on to this, which is the ODZ Pathfinder 1000. So the ODZ is kind of, you can see close to me, a very close copy of a Gen 2 Outlander. We're going to see how this performs. It doesn't look too great riding behind it, but we're going to go and try it out, give it the benefit of the doubt. So controls, very basic screen. So obviously she's running already. The switch gear on the left, normal key and barrel on this one rather than a DES system. This looks very similar to the TGB system, where we've gone two-wheel drive is out, four-wheel drive is in, and then that's locked the diffs then. We're going to leave it in four-wheel drive without the locked diffs. Parking brake is off. And see how this performs. We're all good. Yes. First impressions, the quality isn't there. So right off the bat, the sound, it sounds like a washing machine. The throttle response is awful. I can only describe it as feeling heavy, and it just doesn't give me the confidence going down these hills that I had with the Outlanders, any of the Outlanders for that fact. Apologies, didn't get much footage of the HD7. The battery died on the GoPro, but that's a very capable little quad. So even though the ODZ is primarily a copy of the Gen 2 Outlander, it does not perform like an Outlander. Corners have been cut here, and you can tell straight away. I don't even know how much this is. I don't care how much this is. This isn't worth any amount of money, unless it was free. But it's just going to make your life difficult. On any of this terrain, I can feel every bump coming through the seat. I don't feel like it's stable on the corner. It rolls so much in the corners. There's no damping on that suspension. The clock looks like something out of something 20 years ago. Engine braking is awful. Actually, take that back. What engine braking? You've got to rev it to get the engine braking. which is so counterintuitive. You're going down a very steep slope and you've got to rev the bike to get the engine braking working. That doesn't fill you with confidence. Oh God, get me off this thing. Before we stop, I'll give you a quick look around this thing. Awful thing. Okay, we're going to do a speed test on this. God, I don't like going fast on this thing. It's bloody shite, alright? So a little breakdown from post-ride. So I haven't spoken to a couple of other riders. The consensus, so the worst in class by far, was the Polaris. Performance on the suspension, performance with the throttle control. Nobody could change the modes on, nobody could change the two-wheel, four-wheel drive. It struggled on the terrain more than anything else. That Polaris Sports 1000, worst in class by far. Very close was this bloody ODZ thing. This was awful. So that is worthless. That is not even worth considering. The surprise of the day was the CF Moto. To be honest, that performed pretty well for the price point. You can still tell the components are not as good as they are on the CANAM, but for the price point, I will say it is pretty impressive. We've also got the CANAM then, sort of between the lineup, the DPS, the XT, the XTP models that we rode. The XTP was leaps and bounds above everything else. Suspension, control, being able to change the different modes, rider aids, the IEB system, everything on that model was so impressive and it just so confidence inspiring. I would say by far out of everything else in this class, that 1000 XTP, it is the pricey point, but it's worth every single penny. Clear winner of the day was the CANAM XTP 1000. I'm just going to go through quickly what is the spec on this model. So if we look at the spec closely in person, so we've got the XT front bumper and rear bumper. We've got the beadlock wheels. This is obviously a max model, so it's got the longer wheelbase. It's got the queen seat for the pillion passenger and the handrails. That's a raised seat so they can see over the head of the driver. You've got the premium racks with the luggage box on the front and the back in this one. 10 litres in the front, 30 litres in the rear with all your link queue attachments ready to go. You've also then got at the front the winch as standard. So that's a full electric winch controlled by the handlebars. You've also got a tow hitch as standard in this model. And then, as I've talked about continuously, they are the Fox Podium shocks all round in that nice matching yellow colour that matches the accents of the wheels and the bars and the seat, which I think looks pretty damn amazing against that kind of matte grey and black colours. Also got the hand guards again with that matching yellow fleck. The DES system, the digitally encoded security system. This is the full power key as we just experienced out on the trail. And then going into the tech of this model. So as we've kind of used and demonstrated on the trails, we've got the IEB, that intelligent engine braking, that control us down the descent in the max modes to allow us to go a bit faster and lock up the rear wheels when we're on the faster flowing terrain. We've also got the intelligent throttle control, which are the different ride modes, which we tested out. That work mode, which dumbs that throttle response down, makes it more manageable in the tight riding, and then the full sport mode, which unlocks that full 101 brake horsepower on this new Gen 3 model. We also got a little play around with the two-wheel and four-wheel drive systems and the Visco lock system on this XTP. Maintenance is such a huge thing. You can tell obviously the hammering that these models have in the kind of terrain that they're designed for, and the maintenance is key to be able to get to the engines with a quick release of the side panels, to get that quick release of the airbox and the radiator at the front. Helps you kind of keep control of the maintenance of your vehicle so much easier and be able to take pride in something that is a machine of this caliber. Obviously with that new exhaust, that new design with the centralised muffler, keeps it nice and high, out the way of any debris, and obviously when we're in sort of deep water and crossings of rivers, etc. What a machine. Honestly, I am so impressed. I was impressed before I jumped on the model, just going through the specs yesterday, but having ridden this model, I am blown away of how good it is. seriously, it is worth every single penny, as I've said. So we've just finished the afternoon session, which is the parts and accessories, where we get to see in person the parts and accessories available for not only the Outlander, but the Trackster models as well. So on this one, I'm just going to show you a few of the models, accessories we've got demonstrated. So we've got new front modules for the front, where you can have the active sweep, you can have the plough. It's all run by the Warn winch system, which then you can control the height of the front arm, whether that be the sweeper or the plough on the front. You've got the front box options, so these come in different literage. You've got light bars, they come in different sizes, and then from 10-inch ones up to 39-inch bars. You're going to have the front screens, and obviously this has been configured with a gun rack, so rather than the external gun racks, you can have the internal one, which will keep it a little bit safer. Also coming to the back then, we've got a different version of a box. This is the open box, which is easier to store and take things out with the rear box. Also, you can customize any of the storage boxes with these tool holders. So these can be put onto anything. So if you want to carry things like rakes or spades or axes or whatever you need to sort of carry, you can attach these to any of the storage boxes. If I come on to this other model which we got, this is a different configuration in the back. That's a big literage storage box in the rear, mounted on top of the smaller box underneath. So that'll be for your tools that you don't need on a regular basis, the necessaries that you'll keep hidden away, things like your tow straps, things like basic tools for the vehicle for your maintenance. And then we got on the front of this, we got another windshield deflector, and we've got the chainsaw holder. So look at the way this is configured. It's configured in a way that it sits inside the vehicle, doesn't stick out, protects the chainsaw. And then we've got another tool holder on the front. They've removed the front box on this, which comes as standard on this model. And they removed that and then replaced it with one of the jerry cans, the link in via the Link Q system. Well done, you made it towards the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. But an absolute blast here, driving all the quads you see behind me here at Domaine de Forest Hill in northern France. Hopefully I've given you some insight onto the new Gen 3 Outlander platform and given you some specs on also the Outlander and its competitors, so you'll have a more informed decision when you go purchase your next ATV. And on that subject, there is no better place to purchase from than Marsh Powersports. We've got the knowledge, we've got such a huge range of stock, everything from quad bikes, we've got enduro bikes, we've got motocross, we've got jet skis, e-bikes, you name it, we've got it all in stock. So get in touch with us. As always, if you've enjoyed the content you've seen here today, like, subscribe, drop a little comment down below, and I'll see you for the next one.